Senate, and now he is representing the 4th Congressional District of Florida in Washington, D.C. With us today is Congressman Aaron Bean. Thanks for joining us.
Big Fred, what an honor to be with you. Thank you so much for making time for me as well. We're going to have a good time.
All right. Let's get right to it. Legislative priorities. What have been your priorities since you've gotten to D.C., and what's on the board? What's next for you to try to get done and bring home the bacon, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's funny. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Election Day. I'm a baby congressman. This is my 10th month as a congressman, and I'm still getting the lay of the land. But it's a clear objective for me because I spent last year campaigning, and Fred, I spoke so many places. You won't even, anybody that would have me come and speak or bring greetings, I was there. And what the people of Northeast Florida, as well as so many other folks, is try to shape up government a little bit by getting our spending under control, which we've got a deficit right now. We can talk about that too. So not to say we can bring home bacon, but we've got to do it where it under a balanced budget, so to speak. Number two, our border. We've got to somehow come up with a plan of how we can have be a nation of immigrants, but do it in a legal, orderly fashion, because it's also gotten out of hand. So when I speak to groups, those are the two things that we get hammered on all the time or questioned all the time. I just spoke to a group before you. I thought I was going to be in the district. I agreed to be speak at a luncheon today. And those are the questions that people want to talk about, having a balanced budget. Now, Fred, in Florida, we have a balanced budget, and I was really good at bringing things to Jacksonville, to Northeast Florida, because we have a balanced budget, and we would do buckets of money. We're going to spend this much money in healthcare, this much money in education. We're going to spend all this money on transportation. So I was making sure that Jacksonville got its fair share of projects. But here's a little bit different. I think people realize that if we don't get our spending under control, then it's going to affect everybody going forward.
Well, I mean, let's put a pin in two things there. When you say get our spending under control, what are we going to control? Are we going to go after Social Security as the senator, one of our state U.S. senators would like us to do? Are we going to look at other specific cuts to bring the spending down? And when is it going to be proposed and gotten through the House?
Well, it's a very much of a challenge, because what's called mandatory spending takes up over 78% of what we spend is already promised spending for Medicare and Social Security. I think there's a way to do it, to make changes to Social Security without affecting everybody that's on it right now. So you're not old enough, Fred, to be drawing Social Security, but in 20 years you will be. But it would be unfair to make changes to anybody that's either on it now or about to be. But there's possibilities of people that aren't on it yet, or even, younger people, that we can say, hey, in 40 years, we're going to make a little bit of a change without affecting who's on it now. But Fred, here's the thing that you need to know before anybody says, oh, I want no changes, no changes, no changes. If we don't make changes, it's within 15 years, Social Security is going to run out of money. There won't be enough money. And so if we don't make changes now, come 15 years, we're just going to adjust. If we don't fix it, then there's a possibility of everybody's check that's on it will be adjusted down 10, 20, 40, 50%, which nobody wants that. So that's why it's important that we make changes now, so that we are healthy enough to pay our bills going forward. I recognize that. I recognize it's a hot issue, but when you explain to people, okay, you're on it, we don't, we're going to lock you in, we're going to grandfather everybody that it's in to not make any changes, but we need to look at how we get our spending under under control.
Every conservative, and I have to say this, Republican lawmaker that I've talked to, it's been border, border, border. What I don't hear, and recognize President Biden has a lot to do with that. But again, what I don't hear is, when is Congress going to introduce a bill that will cut off the president's ability to do A or B, and clarify some of the things that are in our that are in our immigration law, to make it either tougher to get American citizenship going forward, and certainly get benefits. It's not a question of I don't think any of the Border Patrol agents down there, they're not standing by just allowing people to run across, and they haven't been ordered to do that. The message has been sent to those all the way down at Panama, where the big stop station is for all of the immigrants coming from South America to pass through Panama, that you shouldn't be coming here. But it appears that we do need a bill passed. And going all the way back to President Bush #2, who tried to do it and failed, is there any sense of legislation coming through that is going to toughen up the immigration process? And if we want to get a wall, then we move the bill to get a tougher wall and build it so that they will not come. Is there any sense that that's going to happen?
It's a tough issue, and I want to correct you on one thing that you said. And I was there. I spent time with the border. I've gone to the border. I've spent time with Border Patrol. I've been to the Darien Gap, which is where Panama comes up,
right,
as you have said,
right,
which is horrendous conditions. These people think they're in. They think Biden has invited them in, and he basically has. So when you say Border Patrol is not standing by, letting people just run across the border, they stand by and let people walk across the border. So they're not running, they're walking. Because
why are they doing that? Why
would they do no that? Enforcement, because we have a president. And Fred, I hate to tell you this, but our president is doing this on purpose. I know it. I hate to tell you that, but that's the secret. Because here's the thing: it doesn't matter what more laws we pass. The laws are there already. The laws are there. And the previous president, this was not an issue under the previous president, because he had a policy. He said, you're going to remain in Mexico. We are not giving out blanket these appeals that they say, hey, they want special circumstances, and we let them come in and wait. We give them a court date where they come back in 3 years. If at all, we don't see them. But this president is encouraging everybody to come in. There is no enforcement of a border. So it doesn't matter that we have new laws. We have to have a president who's going to enforce it. And this is why listen, all those people are getting on government benefits, which makes it less likely that you and I, when we need those government benefits, are going to be there. Let's have Americans first. Now, listen, we used to have a policy that you could apply for citizenship. There was a pathway, but all these people that are jumping the lines, they're skippers, because the people who are doing it the legal way are pushed back in the line, and everybody that comes in across that border, it's our president, and he's doing it on purpose.
So you're saying,
but he's doing it on purpose, Fred Matthews.
Well, so you're saying that Congress is not going to do anything. We just need to change presidents, and that will get things done. I'm
not saying that at all. I'm saying who is in the White House matters. I am saying that. And we've already, in fact, you know what? The House has already passed H.R. 2. H.R. 2, the lower the number, the higher the importance. H.R. 2, there's only one bill. H.R. 1 was all about energy, because the Biden administration is not letting people drill here and produce energy on our own. H.R. 2 is secure the border. Secure the border says we build a wall, we enforce existing law, we say wait in Mexico, we hire 22,000 more Border Patrol agents, we give them tools. You know, the cartels have more. For every one drone the Border Patrol has, the cartels have 10. They have 10. Are we worried about fentanyl killing our kids? It doesn't seem like the Biden administration worries about that at all. So we're going to have to come up with a way to force the Biden administration to enforce the laws, because they're not enforcing the laws. How do we get them to do that, Fred? What would you do? What would you say to President Biden? How do you make him enforce the law?
Well, we've got a twofold thing, and you must admit that. The same thing we've had with cocaine for years and others. We've got a user problem on this side of the border that we have to continue to address, because without the user, the sellers would not have anybody to sell to. And we've got to work with Americans, and that's part of what I tell the president if I was there. We've got to work harder with Americans to drop this use so that those gangsters won't have anything to sell to us, because that's what they say.
No, and point taken, Fred. That's Fred, a point to Fred. But Fred, how do you get our president to enforce the border? How would you do it?
Well, he says he's enforcing the border. And
that
everybody
is not true.
And everybody that I've talked to says that what's missing is for a stronger legislation from Congress that would prevent him from doing what you're saying that's happening, from just letting people cross, and making it a legislative priority, a law of what will take place for folks to come into America from there. We've just got a few minutes left.
Yeah, no, Fred, let's just go back to that. That is, if you listen to Mayorkas, who's the Secretary of Homeland Security, he says that. He says, the border is secure. He's not looking at the same pictures, or maybe he hasn't visited the border. The border is a disaster. The border is a disaster. And Fred, we have to acknowledge you know what they've asked for, Fred? They've asked for more money for the border. And that says, we need more money for the border. All they want to do is take the money and resettle immigrants. You know, they got planes flying them all over America, and they're taking over hotels and parks and schools, and just it's a disaster, Fred. I just want you to acknowledge it's a disaster. It's being done on purpose, and I don't mean to dwell on it, but it's a hot topic when I go to talk.
Well, it is. Among everybody I've talked to, it's a major topic. How would you describe your position in the political landscape today? You've named at least two of what I'd like to do, three of your top priorities, but how would you describe Aaron Bean's position in the political landscape? Are you far to the right? Or are you somewhat? Are you just right wing? Are you moderate? Where does Aaron Bean, Congressman Aaron Bean, fit in the landscape?
You know, it's really not for me to describe. It's for others. But let me tell you, I mean, I'm for limited government. I'm for the ideals that made our country great. I believe in paying your bills. I believe in a balanced budget. I believe in an enforced border. What does that make me? I mean, if you're to the left of me, you're going to say I'm far right wing, and if you're right wing, you're going to say I'm a rhino. I get called names all the time, but I want to be known for that. I'm persistent. I'm going to be engaged. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be in the arena. I got my butt kicked yesterday on the House floor, Fred. How about that? It's never easy.
No.
It's never easy to get your butt kicked. But guess what? I learned from the experience. I debated Steny Hoyer, the Democratic minority leader, and it was the thrill of a lifetime. I lost on the vote, but I will fight again. I'll jump in the ring. When I get tagged again to go in the ring, I'm going to do it. So let's call Bean a fighter. That's what a warrior for freedom, a freedom warrior. That's my label.
All right. I'm going to use that in a promo for this session. Well, here's one for you. I'm going to throw this at you.
Yeah,
DeSantis or Trump? It's your party. We need a nominee.
Yeah, I know them both. Both would be great. And first of all, let me just say, I'll cut to the chase. The chase is I am all in whoever our party's nominee is. We haven't made the call yet, and I'm letting people, I know them both, not to say I won't make the call. I served with Governor DeSantis in the Florida legislature. He's dynamite. He is a policy guy that gets things done. And so I like him. President Trump has been one of the greatest presidents we've had. He was doing more with his hands tied, fighting all these silliness of accusations of Russia collusion that was totally debunked. So I'm a Republican guy, and I'm going to be cheering and pushing for the Republican, whoever that is. We need leadership in the White House right now. Fred, who you behind? Are you supporting anybody?
No, it keeps me out of trouble. I just watch it, talk to them, and expose them. That's what I
No.
that's what I do. Now you've got a diverse district. This final question, because I know you got to go.
Right.
You've got a diverse district, representing, of course, Nassau and what's that?
Clay
Next to
and West Side.
West
Right.
side of Jacksonville, some parts of the north side. How are you managing that? Are you getting the messages, particularly from your Duval residents, who had a different kind of representative for 20 years prior to you? How are you getting the information back from Washington back to them so that they know who Aaron Bean is and what you stand for?
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Fred. I'm going to tell you my two secret weapons. I've got two. Well, three, maybe. I've got a great staff. That's one. I've got an awesome wife who is very supportive, who is encouraging and says, get out there and engage. But here's my top secret weapon, is that no one's going to outwork me. And I'm going to step up, and I get energy when I go speak to groups. So I can show you my calendar and show you how I'm visiting everybody. I'm going everywhere. This weekend, I'm doing events not only in Clay, but also Duval and Nassau. It's Veterans Day weekend. We're doing multiple events for Veterans Days, but I'm doing my best to get out there to visit. I'm going to a church on Sunday to do a church service. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be with Councilwoman Jacoby Pittman as we're going to cut the ribbon of a community garden in Northwest Jacksonville. I'm going to be there. I want to be there. I want to be visible, engaged. Invite me, Fred. If you've got something, invite me. If we're not in DC, and we've spent so much time in DC, this is our 9th week. We'll be back next week. So we'll have 10 weeks straight in DC. That's a record for the last 50 years. Congress hasn't been here in 10 weeks straight in over 50 years. So that makes it hard to visit and to be engaged. But I'm speaking at Rotary clubs. I'm telling everybody of what's happening. You can't believe everything you see on the news. You can believe Fred Matthews. I know Fred Matthews will tell you the truth on if you listen to Fred Matthews' podcast. But I want to be visiting. So, but listen, I'll be honest with you, Fred. You're exactly right. It's a challenge to be everywhere all the time, and so we're doing our best to be out there.
Congressman Aaron Bean, 4th Congressional District here in Northeast Florida, from Fernandina Beach, I do believe, former mayor. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to going into to be continued. Thank you for your time.
Amen, Fred. Fred, thank you. You are great. I don't want to call you fair and balanced because that's trademarked by another news channel, but you are fair, straightforward, and I think you get it. And we have work to do. And if you're bridging gaps to bring people together to have a discussion how we can elevate Jacksonville, Florida, our nation, then Fred Matthews, you're on the front line. I'll be right behind you, my friend. You go get them. Have a great week.